Now that we've learned what is a data model, what is the importance of a data model, and what are the different components of a data model, and also how we create a conceptual data model, let us talk about the process of designing a logical model for a data mart. As we just learned, data mart is a process-oriented. So the first thing we need to decide is what the business process are we going to create the data mart for. An organization can have many different processes, and if we are building the first data mart, then it is always best to choose the simpler process first. This is because it would build the confidence in the team and also the business, because the chances of success is more and the business would see something in a short span of time. The next step is to declare the grain of the data that we're going to collect. Declaring the grain tells us what level of detail is the fact record going to represent. For example, if we were building the data mart for the sales process, then the grain could be all the sales of a product in a store in a day. Again, the grain can be all the sales of a product in a store in a day. If the grain is defined correctly, it will usually define the primary key for the fact table for us. The other thing to note about the grain is that it should be as low and granular as possible, because that gives the flexibility of answering a different question that might arise at a later point. Once the grain of the fact table is established, the choice of dimensions is fairly straightforward. The grain will determine the minimal set of dimensions required. Now, there is always a possibility of adding more dimensions, but that would not change the grain of the fact table. In the example we just mentioned, let us look at the grain again. So the grain is all the sales of a product in a store in a day. So considering that, the possible dimensions that we could have are customer, sales rep, product, and date. The last step is choosing the facts. Again, once you've defined the grain, the facts that need to be collected also become defined. In our example, the fact would be sales quantity. Now, it is very important to note that all the facts in the table should be of the same grain. It is beneficial to have aggregated data, say for a month, but that should be kept in a separate table.